everyone, I want to take this time and actually share with you a build that which I built in early access in Diablo 4 for the rogue, and I call it the no bow build. And what I mean by that is that you're not really utilizing any marksmanship abilities or utilizing your bow in any way, shape, or form. I know it sounds very unique for a rogue, but that's how it is. The build itself is very good because it allows you to be very maneuverable, also inflicts a lot of damage in quick format. So here is how I built it. Now please take into consideration here, this is early access, we're only at a max level of 25, there's a lot more that I could have done with this build. However, for the individuals who want to play open beta and want to see a little bit of build and make sure it works for you, this is a really good one to start with. I enjoyed this, it worked very well for me. Let's go down to the breakdown of the skill tree. So this is our skill tree here. Primarily, what I'm going to show you is what I'm using with the levels associated to the skills itself. So right now, for the basic skill, I'm usually only using Puncture right now. Puncture is really great because throw blades at short distance, dealing 122 damage. Every third cast slows enemies for 20% for 2.25 seconds. Critical strikes will always slow them. The benefit about this is that this gives you that distance where you can attack. So because we're not using a no bow build, this majority of this build is going to be very close quarters. I find Puncture is a really great one to give a little bit of distance and pull them into you as well, because you're kind of, you need to have them come to you if possible. You can go to them as well, but it's better suited to have them come to you. But Puncture is what I used for this. For its modifiers, I did Enhanced Puncture, gain 2 energy when Puncture damages a crowd control enemy. And for the other one, I did Fundamental Puncture, which now throws 3 blades in a spread, each dealing 35% of its base damage. But hitting an enemy with at least 2 blades makes them vulnerable for 2 seconds. Vulnerability is going to be a very big purpose for this build, and I'll tell you why later. From there, we go to our core skills. Now, this is where obviously we're going to be using our energy to be able to implement these attacks. Number one, in my honest opinion, is Flurry. Flurry is a very powerful attack. Unleash a flurry of stabs and slashes, striking enemies in front of you 4 times and dealing a total of 395 damage to each. Now, make note, this is at rank 5 for me. I have an item that's contributing 1 point, so initially I did 4 out of 5, but one item is giving me 1 point to this. But this is an absolutely strong attack. Now with that, I've added the modifier Enhanced Flurry. I've added the modifier Enhanced Flurry. Each time Flurry damages a crowd-controlled or vulnerable enemy, you are healed for 1% of your maximum life, 6 up to 12% damage life, 66 per cast. So the vulnerability I told you about here, that implements vulnerability, well, when you hit your Flurry on them, you get healed with it. But that's not all, because I've also added Improved Flurry. And Flurry hits any vulnerable enemy, it will make all enemies hit by that cast vulnerable for 3 seconds. The benefit about that is that if you have enemies in front of you, you make one of them vulnerable, you cast Flurry, you heal off that one vulnerability. However, what happens afterwards is that anyone that's caught in that same attack is also vulnerable. You can do that attack again, and you can get healed continuously. So it's a really good attack for that. In addition to this, the 2 passives I picked here is Sturdy. You gain 12% close damage reduction. Now this obviously is scaled because it's at 3 out of 3. But this is a very good one because, again, you're going to be a lot of close range action. The other one is Siphoning Strikes, which is heal 1% of your maximum life when you critically strike close enemies. I'm going to be honest with you, you're going to hit criticals quite frequently, and there's going to be an additional trait that we add on later on that's going to help with that. But that is going to, again, additional healing for your amount as well. I've only added 1 in there, so, you know, take that as it is. From there, we go to the agility. The agility, I only have 1 in dash. I had a piece of equipment that gave me 2 out of 5. However, I replaced it, so I only have 1 out of 5, but in all reality, dash is extremely useful just to get out of sticky situations, so I utilize it for that, just to give me additional maneuverability other than the evade that we have. Moving from there, we have the subterfuge skills. Originally, I was using Poison Trap. I didn't mind it, however, it really wasn't a skill I really enjoyed until I got the Dark Shroud. Now, the Dark Shroud, again, I'm only utilizing 1 out of 5. I had a piece of item that gave me 2, but the item that I received originally is what unlocked this for me, so I was able to use it. And I got to give credit where it's due. This actually was a very beneficial skill. Surround yourself with up to 5 protective shadows, get 8% damage reduction per active shadow. Each time you take direct damage, that damage is reduced and the shadow is consumed, so it pretty much negates the amount of damage you're taking. The enhancements I made for this one is Enhanced Dark Shroud. Dark Shroud Shadow has up to 10% chance to not be consumed. And the other one is countering Dark Shroud. While you have at least 2 active shadows for Dark Shroud, gain 10% critical strike chance. Now, this coincides with this passive. So again, the critical strike there is always very beneficial because if you have Dark Shroud up and you have at least 2, you get a 10% critical strike chance, which enhances your ability to get healed additionally with the Flurry, which also will heal you of the vulnerability. So again, you're stacking kind of healing capabilities there. From there, we're going to our imbuement. I went with a Shadow Imbue. Imbue your weapon with Festering Shadows. Your next 2 imbuable skills deal shadow damage and infect enemies for 6 seconds. Infected enemies explode on death, dealing 180 damage to all surrounding enemies. If the infection expires before the enemy dies, it will deal 180 damage to only that enemy. This is a really fun one. If you manage to hit talents with the Shadow Imbue and kill them very quickly, I gotta be honest with you, it's just explosive nature and it's hilariously fantastic. From there, the enhancements I made with this one is the enhanced Shadow Imbuement. You have 25% increased critical strike chance against injured enemies infected by Shadow Imbuement. And then the blended Shadow Imbuement, primary explosion makes enemies vulnerable for 2 seconds. And again, the explosion that happens when you kill them off, so once you affect them, if you manage to kill them while they're still infected, they explode. Well, this makes the individuals around them vulnerable, which again coincides with the Flurry and healing with vulnerability. In addition to that, also coincides with fundamental puncture, making them vulnerable at the same time. So the vulnerability is a very big key tone to this build, and I really do think it's something that will help you tremendously, specifically because it is a healing aspect as well that you want. In addition from that, we go into our ultimate skills, and this is where I've selected Shadow Clone, which is a shadow mimicking your actions for 15 seconds. The shadow deals 60% of your damage. It's still a very good one. Regardless of what you do, what move you do, it kind of coincides and does the same thing. It mimics you as it states, but it's a really good one. I do like it. It kind of gives you that extra support wherever you need it. Now, because of the early access, we can't really go into the kind of specialty ones here. If I had to pick any of these here, the close quarter combat is definitely one that I recommend. Damaging a close enemy with marksman and cutthroat skills each grant you a 10% attack speed bonus for 8 seconds. Your marksman is your main attack, that is your puncture. Your cutthroat is your flurry. So you're going to be using both of those very frequently in this build, and you will get that bonus from there as well. And while both attack speed bonuses are active, you deal 20% increased damage against crowd control enemies. Again, that is just something that will benefit you in the long run because these two will give you an increased attack bonus. And from there, the other one that I would pick is Victimize. This is a lucky hit chance, but dealing direct damage to a vulnerable enemy has up to 30% chance to cause an explosion, dealing 23% of the original damage to them and surrounding enemies. Again, it's the explosiveness. You're going to be vulnerable. You're going to make a lot of enemies vulnerable. That helps you in the long run. And frankly, this is the build that I've gone with for early access. Now, again, you can go with this build for open beta. I find it's really enjoyable. I will make note, there are a couple things I do have that I recommend you get. One of which is Flurry from the Codex of Power. Now, I will make note, the Flurry that I showed you there is one Codex of Power that I really do feel you need to have, and that is definitely going to be the aspect of Encircling Blades. The Flurry damage enemies in a circle around you and deals 8% increased damage. What this means is that Flurry no longer affects individuals in front of you, it affects 360 all around you. So I do highly recommend this one because this is going to be a specific one, and it unlocks by completing the Forsaken Quarry in Fractured Peaks, and if you want to know where that is, it is... Where is it? Forsaken Quarry. It is right up there. That is the dungeon you want to beat to be able to get that. But once you get that legendary aspect, you're then allowed to add it to you're allowed to imprint it on any of the items you have, which I've done with this necklace, which does provide me the damage enemies in a circle around you and deals 12% increased damage. On top of what effects I have right now based on my legendary equipment, again, it's just based off of what you find. A lot of times, it's a lot of luck of the draw, really. This one will give me, again, a free Dark Shroud Shadow, which we utilize, obviously, with the shadows around us. Every 3 seconds, when you're standing still, each Dark Shroud Shadow grants 2% increased damage reduction. From there, we also do have this one, which is dealing direct damage to a dazed enemy with an agility skill, grants stealth for 4 seconds. Breaking stealth when attack grants you 30% control impaired duration reduction for 4 seconds. Don't really use this. I haven't really found a really good pant as of yet to use this. I am considering about imprinting an aspect on that, which probably would be my Wind Striker, which critical strikes grant 16% movement speed for 1 second up to 6 seconds. And because of the flurry and because of the build itself, we do a lot of critical strike opportunities. We also do have this one, which is when you hit a crowd control enemy, there's up to 44% chance the crowd control enemy is spread to another unaffected enemy. From there, we also have our lucky hit. Making an enemy vulnerable has up to 100% chance to grant 3% critical strike chance for 3 seconds. So again, increases our critical strike chance. This one right here, this one's actually a very important one. This one is because critical strikes with core skills, so that would be our flurry, increases your attack speed by 20% for 3 seconds. So when you use flurry and then you go using your puncture, you're attacking a lot quicker in puncture. And this one here, the one that I have, is Lucky Hit. Your marksman skills have up to 10% chance to create an arrow storm at the enemy's location, dealing 454 damage over 3 seconds. And you can have up to 5 active arrow storms. This one's actually pretty good because, again, puncture is your only marksmanship attack. And that marksmanship attack will do a lot of damage, specifically when this activates after the fact. So this is the build right now that I have. I do like it. I find it very, very good. One thing I will make, combo points, when you get to specializations and you get it unlocked, combo points is 100% what I recommend. And the reason why is because your basic skill now generates combo points. Core skills consume combo points for additional effects. What I mean by that is if you go to Flurry here, you'll see you get a combo point, increased damage, and grants attack speed bonus. This will be beneficial because once you hit somebody 3 times with puncture, you're going to fill in these little shields here. Once those shields are filled in, you activate Flurry with anyone around you. You deal an additional 692 damage and 45% bonus attack speed. So there is a lot of benefit to that. Plus you get the additional attack speed with this item as well. So attack speed is always going to be your best friend here. If you can get puncture out quicker and quicker, it's always going to be your best friend. But that's the build. I've showed you some obviously footage that I've been playing with in the background. I've streamed it on Twitch. I've streamed it on YouTube as well. It's a really fun build. It works really well. It's very quick. It does a lot of damage, and I really do think a lot of people will enjoy it. So, but that is my rogue no bow build. Take into consideration, just because we're not using a bow doesn't mean do not update the bow. Regardless, if you do not use a bow, you still need to have a bow active because it will allow you to give you the specializations, all of the attributes, everything on that bow will still be affected to your character. So as you progress in the open beta, definitely use that bow. Definitely apply a better bow as well because the stats will still be applied to your attack and everything. But that's it. If you guys enjoyed that, let me know in the comments down below. This is my really first ever kind of build video, so obviously I probably can do better at some point in time, but we'll see how that works. But again, this is going to be going up to level 25. There's a lot more possibilities that we can increase our build for later on once we get to level 50 and then we get into the Paragon boards. But for the time being, this is what I can build right now for level 25. But let me know your thoughts if you guys are using a rogue. If you use this, let me know what you thought of it. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys like this video, please consider leaving a like and a comment down below. Always helps tremendously. And if you find yourself coming back for Diablo 4 content, please do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel. It helps tremendously. Thank you so much to everyone for us getting to 2,000 subs. That's, I know a lot of people are like, it's not really a large number. For me, that is huge. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Much love to every single one of you. And from me to you, make sure to heal. Please heal, and I'll see you in Sanctuary.